I mean, can you overturn a title fight if it's a shitty decision? Can you go in and your board of directors or whatever the hell go in and overturn a title fight? If there's nothing that says you can't,
then you can.
Yeah, then you can.
Yep. Let's bring it to the board. Make that decision. Overturn it. Do whatever it takes.
You can call me Mystic Mike because I predict these things.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Stronghold podcast. That little preview clip that you just saw was from last week, and I am Mystic motherfucking Mac because I predicted that shit last week on this podcast. How crazy is that? Jake and I were literally having a conversation last week about what happens if one has a really close title fight, and then all of a sudden the board comes in, and will they overturn it? And sure enough, we get a banger between Christian Lee and Ok Rayun. Friday, Jake and I happened to be in the house. Well, kind of. We were
not for that fight, but yeah, for the rest of them we were.
Yeah, so we left a little early because it was getting a little lame. I'll be honest with you. We'll break that down in just a second here. But what do you think about that, Jake?
I think it's hilarious that we were literally talking about it last week and what happens in this fantasy scenario that we never really expected to play out, and then literally the fight we went to watch and actually we're at the next week, the scenario we're talking about played out.
That's why if you want to watch the number one fight MMA podcast in Southeast Asia, you watch the Stronghold podcast because we predict these things. Okay, we know what's up.
And we will talk about it in a bit. That wasn't, you also correctly predicted something else that night as well.
What was that?
The Nguyen fight. Martin Nguyen fight.
Oh yeah. I also predicted that, much to Major's chagrin. He and I. So if you don't know, Martin Nguyen got knocked out again because he was spamming his right hand like crazy. He was just trying to knock his block off with that overhand. And I also mentioned that in the podcast that I felt like he was going to chase that overhand, which he's been doing, and it's cost him in his last two fights. So, Mystic Luke up in the house.
Two for two.
2 for 2, baby. And as I said last week on the podcast, if I'm wrong, you're just never going to hear about it. So I'm undefeated. I'll delete that shit.
Yeah, we could have clipped up about 1,000 things of you being entirely incorrect about fights.
But that wouldn't serve my nefarious purposes, so we've chosen not to do that. Anyway, so you want to start off with that?
Yep, let's go with the one. Talk about the whole experience we had on Friday.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the Christian Lee thing first. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about what it was like to go to one during the middle of a pandemic, which, spoiler alert, less than ideal. That's putting it mildly. Okay, less than ideal. So the fight was really, really close. Pretty much all of us watching it thought that Christian had managed to get the decision. And in fact, once they announced that it was unanimous, I thought for sure that Christian was going to win. And I made an argument that if the scoring was done through the unified rules, like in the UFC, that Ok would have stood a better chance of winning it because you could argue that he got 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But if you're using the global rule set that One Championship uses, I definitely think Christian should have won the fight. And I got a little juicy juice too, a little side juice that you may not have even heard about.
Ooh, do tell.
So I may or may not have spoken to a judge who shall remain nameless. And this judge informed me of some things. I don't know what I can say. I don't want to get him.
Don't give him away. Don't give away
no,
who it
it's
is.
not giving him away. I just don't want to get anybody in trouble. But okay, so I'll make my argument. First of all, Christian did have some near finishes. He had his back taken at one point, had the forearm under the chin. Ok managed to just shake him off to the side, and then Christian dropped him at one point in the round as well. I can't remember what round it was that Christian knocked him down. It might have been the second.
Yeah.
I think Christian got the first 2 rounds for sure. And then Ok came on strong in the mid parts of the fight. And then Christian buckled him again there in the fifth. The fifth was close. I think you could probably give the round to Ok, but Christian definitely had the most significant moment. But he faded in those mid rounds. He was tired. He was visibly tired in those mid rounds right when Ok was coming on. So, I mean, if I had to pick, I would have given the fight under the rules that they were judged under, which is the unified rules. Some people online still saying like, oh, this round. Okay, that's fine, but that's not.
It's not round.
That's not how they judge the fights, right? They judge them in their entirety. So, and they prioritize near finishes. And, you heard Angela say this and you heard Christian say this. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong with what he's saying. But he is wrong to try and even suggest that the fight get overturned by the board. I'll tell you what is not a good look, Christian Lee, It's being like, all the respect to you, but I won that fight. And Business Daddy, if you don't mind overturning it, that would be great. Now, to be fair to Christian, my intro that I edited was a little cheeky because he said at one point earlier in that same little promo there that take it to the board. I want an immediate rematch. But that's not as juicy as the second where he asked for it to be overturned.
So he went, rematch, I want a rematch. And then something popped in his head. He went, no, I don't. I just want my title back.
Yeah, and then he's like, rematch. But he let it slip. And that's the real tell, right? The real tell is him saying, board of directors, overturn it. That is where... Imagine this, okay? Imagine this scenario. Let me ask you how you think this would go, okay? Let's say that we mentioned last week, the GSP Hendricks fight, Jones, Reyes, Holloway, Volkanovski 2.
Yep.
Any of these fights that were close. Could you imagine John Jones going on the microphone and asking Dana White to overturn the fight? Could you imagine any scenario where that could happen?
The only person who apparently has ever done that is Luke Rockhold when Mike Bisping knocked him out. And he was so adamant that he couldn't lose to Mike Bisping. It was like, Dana, it was a mistake. You've got to do something.
Yeah, Dana, it was a mistake. I want it again. Not, can you please overturn it for me? I mean, the fact that he feels confident to say that shows you that there's a definite bias there. Could anyone else other than an Evolve-sponsored fighter go in and ask the board to overturn a fight? Would anyone else have the audacity?
Yeah, say the tables were turned and it happened to Ock. Ock would not have been on the microphone saying, commission, overturn this, I'm the champion, surely.
No, of course not. Nor would anybody from any other gym.
Yeah.
And it's fair enough to ask for an immediate rematch, right? I'm not going to throw you in a shade. Christian, I thought you won, dude. I'm not shitting on you. I'm not shitting on the decision. I'm not shitting on your performance. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about are the fucking politics to where you can go in and even dare to ask your boss to just overturn the fight. That is not a good look, dude.
No, definitely not.
So that was, that was definitely the most drama, I would say, of the night was just that bit, right?
Yeah, if you take the drama out of it as well, it's a shame for the drama because it was a fucking brilliant fight.
Yeah.
2 rounds Christian, 2 rounds Ock, and then a pretty even 5th round. So back and forth all the way.
Yeah, good fight. Good fight. Ock, first of all, Ock has amazing wrestling. That motherfucker, Christian takes down everybody, right? And those Koreans, man, they got some damn good takedown defense. Major kept calling the Korean double knees the whole night, and that Ock was throwing that double knee. Major had it on cue, right? You heard it.
Major before the fight was literally, oh, you remember when all Koreans used to do was throw a flying knee? I was like, yeah, and then that's all that Ock did for
and then he proceeded to throw 10 flying knees. Which, man, I thought the fight was great. I thought it's just crazy that Christian could possibly have the audacity to go in there, even though it was a close fight. Now, what I will say is there hasn't been any rumblings that I've heard of the mysterious... how do you imagine the board? I kind of imagine them as these... the Grim Reaper types, dude. They're in some back room with the dark, Illuminati type characters.
No,
Bohemian Grove type shit.
I mostly Chattery surrounded by a load of his childhood teddy bears going, what do you think, Mr. Teddy? Should we give Christian his belt back?
Oh, man. Oh, goodness. That is hilarious, man. That is so fucking funny. So, honestly, I don't know what to say about the fight. It was super competitive. Ox, the champion. I haven't actually heard them suggest any overturning it. There's no question.
But did you not? Chattery said that Christian won the fight, though.
Oh, yeah. It's fine if that's his opinion,
yeah.
Right? I don't have an issue with people thinking Christian won. I'm one of them. But I do have an issue with people thinking that they should just overturn the fight, let alone Christian Lee himself. And I love how he tried to be a little humble there in the beginning and then immediately said that, all the respect to you, but I won the fight. Well, no, you didn't. You lost the fight. You may think you won the fight, but you definitely didn't win the fight. The official decision is what the official decision is, but you definitely did not win that fight.
Did you read Christian's Instagram post?
I did, but can you pull it up actually?
Yeah, got it.
Let's see what we got here from the man himself. Oh, yeah, look at that shit. Look at that choke. But you see, look at Ock peeling that hook off with his right hand. Christian just lost the angle a little bit. That was damn close. Definitely the nearest finish of the fight.
Yeah.
Can you read that?
So, Christian Lee last night I fought a 5-round war with a very tough opponent in Okra Yoon. He has earned my respect and has shown how resilient he is by surviving all 5 rounds. However, I absolutely believe that I won this fight. Myself, Chattery, many MMA media and fans around the world know that this fight was not judged correctly or fairly. If you look at the One Championship scoring criteria or any MMA scoring criteria, I beat my opponent in every category. The most important scoring category in one is near finish. Throughout the fight, I dropped him twice and had 2 submission attempts while my opponent had none. The second most important is damage. If you look at both our faces, you can clearly see who did more damage and landed the most significant blows. The third most important category is striking and ground control. I outstruck my opponent, controlled him on the cage, as well as on the ground. The last category is takedowns, and I took him down twice, while my opponent landed none. Please tell me what fight the judges were watching and how they scored this fight. I'll ask anyone to put the one scoring criteria down in front of them, watch this fight, and tell me how I lost this fight. I believe that One Championship will stand behind their morals, do what is right, and overturn this decision from a loss to a win. I am still champion. I did not lose this fight.
Overturn it from a loss to a win. Dude, that is not how this shit works. That is not how the fuck, go back, do the right thing, the ethical thing, and overrule the judges on whose authority? On whose fucking authority? Or do you think that that's the moral thing to do? Listen, kid, you got your fucking blinders on, bro.
But I'm not saying I agree with
how this shit works.
But that is how this shit works, because it's Sketch's fucking one, and we literally had a conversation about this last week. Is this allowed? If it is, then Christian's playing by the rules.
Here's the thing. If Chatri, this is why I don't think that they'll overturn it, and why I don't even think you'll hear a whisper about this board of directors shit. Because if they were to overturn this, that opens up a can of worms and issues of favoritism that you, as a company, do not want to deal with. You don't want any of that. And I mean, the fact that he thinks that the boss can overrule the judges and that it's the right thing to do in a close fight that I also think you won, dude. But the fact that you think that that's the right thing to do shows that you are very subjective in your point of view, that you think that your opinion is right and that all the judges who are cage side should overrule you. I mean, that is just mind-blowingly lacking of awareness. It's not a good look, man. It's fine if you think you won. I did too. But in no scenario should this ever be overturned. If you want to get an instant rematch, I'm down for that.
Yep.
That's fair. That is fair. It's reasonable. But to get your loss overturned to a win is some bullshit, dude. That is some bullshit. And
I think Christian won same as you, but he did look bad in round 3 and round 4. He didn't, he's not. He did lose 2 rounds in that fight if you were scoring by rounds, definitely. It's not like he stormed all 5 rounds either.
And if you ask me about Christian's in defensive, the way he laid out the reasons why I think he should have won, I think he's right in a lot of aspects. Here's why I don't think he's right. I don't think he's right that he outstruck him.
Yeah.
I think he definitely landed the more significant shots. But let's see this. Can you pull up is there a fight metric, or is there maybe you can give a quick Google and see if they've released the significant strikes, and so we can look back and see what the actual strike output was. Because definitely Christian Lee started the fight strong. Ak won the middle rounds for sure. And I think Ak won the 5th round too, but Christian landed the most significant strike, which I think he buckled him there a little bit. I'm not even sure if he dropped him. Excuse me. I think he just buckled him, right? His knees gave out a little bit. You got it there?
He didn't drop him. He
kind of just buckled him, right?
Yeah.
So Jake's checking to see if we can actually get a look here at what the strikes were for this fight. But listen, in the 3rd and the 4th round, Christian was visibly tired. Ak was picking him apart. He didn't land anything that nearly closed the show or anything like that, but Christian was visibly fatigued. He was losing the striking for sure, and there were no takedowns in those rounds. And having said all of that, I agree with him in his assessment, other than in the fact that he thinks that anybody should have the authority to go over there and overturn it without it being so lopsided that there's just no way, which this was not. This was a close fight. And in a close fight, sometimes decisions don't go your way. Sometimes they're not fair. Sometimes life sucks. But guess what, man? It was unanimous. All 3 judges, all 3 scored it against you. And actually, that was my biggest confusion. As soon as they announced unanimous, I thought for sure Christian's going to get the quote-unquote hometown decision.
I wish we'd have filmed me and Major when they made the shout out, because our faces were all a picture. We were all like, huh? What? Huh?
Yeah, we even took a picture and shared it there on my social media about that. Yeah, so did you manage to find significant strikes?
No, I can't find the numbers.
I don't know if they have it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. One needs to, this is the problem when you have established that this board of directors, quote unquote, can overturn these fights, is that now you have people asking for it to happen.
Yep.
Asking, I mean, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And the fact that he is a member of the fight team for Evolve, which Chatri also owns, shows the level of favoritism here that is unparalleled in any other sports organization in the world. In the fucking world. Could you imagine if, like, I don't know, whoever runs FIFA was also the owner of, like, Manchester United?
I mean, FIFA's a bad example because they're corrupt as anything.
Oh,
but yeah.
But if it was if like the biggest team in the world was also owned by the league.
Yeah.
By the league that's promoting the team, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's just shady. It's just shady. It's not a good look. And I think they know it's not a good look, which is why I think they're not touching it.
Yeah, he's going to go quiet, and then they're going to be like, he's got a rematch.
Yeah, for sure. Which I don't disagree with. But the fact that he's mentioning even overturning it just blows my goddamn mind. Like that is crazy. I mean, you got anything else on that?
No, just, what Christian said. It's a weird statement. I've not heard anything out of Ox camp, and I just assume they're going to give him an immediate rematch. So
Yeah. Well, the other one that was a little weird, and it's not her fault, was Victoria Lee. The finish there was a little weird, right?
Three punches, TKO. Like, it's not TKO.
There were some elbows, there were some punches, but I mean, it seemed like the Victoria Souza was still defending herself.
Yeah.
I mean, she was stuck in the half guard, a couple punches, and they just kind of stopped it. I thought it was a weird move. She had no damage on her face. She was still defending herself clearly. Yeah. She was moving.
She was losing the fight, but there was no reason to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, that's another weird one. And again, nothing. She was dominating the fight, right? Like,
yeah.
But it was just a weird one. It's like, why would you stop that so early? It literally doesn't make sense. There's no grounds, in my opinion, to stop that when they did, even though for sure Victoria was winning.
Yeah.
Right? So we all watched that. We're like, what? They stopped it there? So that one was quite weird. And also, shout out to Major again, because he was right. We were talking about how Victoria Souza was 5-0 going into this fight, and she was 5-0, but Major told us that...
And then Major started laughing at us and was like, yeah, but she's 5-0 against, like, nobody's. Everyone she's fought's never had a fight before.
Yeah, literally all 5 of her opponents were 0-0. And we were like, oh, look, she's 5-0 with 5 finishes. Major's like, use Tapology. And then we said it on the podcast, but I guess for whatever reason, for that one fight, we didn't use Tapology, or we didn't pay attention, or if we did, we didn't notice it.
Yeah.
And it turned out that every single one of her opponents was 0-0 when she fought them. So.
Also, was she technically, I don't know what the correct term for it, was she technically a dwarf? Because she was way shorter than Victoria Lee, and Victoria Lee's not exactly tall. Yeah, she was shorter and wider, and obviously not as experienced as her 5-0 record would lend. Yep. But, shout out to Victoria Lee, because she looked pretty good, man. She looked good. She looked good, and shout out to one for picking her a perfect opponent that looks like they were 5-0. Yeah. And also, I'm not saying that they should do anything else, right? No. They should, no. She's 16. Yeah, I mean, she deserves to be built up properly, right? I mean, that's what you do with real high prospects. You got to pick and choose, especially when they choose to go pro so young. Yeah. She's not coming in fully developed, right? They're developing her throughout the process. And, I mean, just take Christian Lee, for example. Imagine if they had held off his debut until he was 21. Yeah. Instead of making him debut when he was 17. And then him getting all of his losses to Martin when he was like 19. And Martin was like 26 or 27 and like number one contender, top, like double champ almost, right? Yeah. If they had held him off for a little while, he might be undefeated right now. And, it's pick your poison. Would you rather him get the experience early, potentially lose, or would you rather him go Khabib style, maybe be undefeated by the time he's a champion? Same thing with Angela Lee, right? When she lost to Panda a little too early. If they waited a couple more years and let her skills fully develop, then made her go pro, she might very well be undefeated. And, it's up to the coaches and the team to decide what they value more, like that potential experience and then fighting someone tough a little too early or that undefeated record, right? And with all the Lees, they just seem to be like, let's throw them in there. Yeah, throw them in. Get them some winnable fights early on and then put them into some really hard fights when they've had 5-6 fights, right? I mean, that's pretty much what happened with Angela and Christian.
is they give them the winnable fights early on, and then once they're 5 or 6 fights in, they're fighting a number 1 contender fights against Panda, who's a beast, or against Martin, who's a beast. And then they lost those fights, but then they came back. At least Angela did, and then beat Panda and that weird fight. Remember that?
Yeah.
The old illegal
old
suplex.
Suplex City.
You want to go watch my video where I break down the quote unquote legal suplex? Definitely not legal. You can just see the clip in the picture, the still that I showed of her getting suplexed on the back of her head. The same thing, ironically, Christian Lee did get disqualified for earlier on in his fight. So we got one championship. I love you. You're amazing. I fucking love you. You got to work out your shit.
Yeah, some consistency in rules would be amazing.
You got to work your shit out. Because this is, whoa, Jake, you look like the Blob, dude.
That is weird. Let me fix that. I'm all right. I'm not on screen. We can keep going.
Okay, so let's move on to the rest of that one card. So, I mean, the other fights, honestly, they didn't blow my hair back. I think we covered pretty much the main ones. And if you want, I can go into a little bit of why Jake and I and Major and the wives all left early. And that's because it was fucking boring.
Yeah.
It was boring. And it wasn't boring because the fights were boring.
The fights were great, but it was the atmosphere that was
The atmosphere
terrible.
was awful. Awful. There were these Spetsnaz-ass motherfuckers in yellow shirts who okay, so I'm sitting here. Jake is next to me, or Major's next to me. Jake's next to him, and then the wives are sitting together right next to us. We booked 5 tickets. That's the limit. So we're all watching the fights together. And there's no one around us. There is nobody within rows of us, right? Can't reach anyone. It's like I look over, talk to Major, my mask goes down and my nose hangs out, and some dude's tapping on my shoulder. Excuse me, pull your mask. Oh, sorry. Just I was talking and it fell down. It's not down to my chin. It's just I'm talking, and bloop, my nose pops out. Tap, tap, tap. Hey, pull up your mask. Okay, cool, no problem. 5 minutes later, I look over. Oh, my mask just slides out. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, cool, dude. There's no one around us. The worst part, you may think that's the worst part. That's just typical. Whatever. I get what they're doing. The worst part is that I go up to use the bathroom, which is one level higher. And when you're walking into the indoor stadium, they got these 2 big doors that you could enter into, and then you see the venue. You see the arena, and there's all the chairs. One of them is marked the entrance. One of them is marked the exit. All I do is walk in the exit, and there's literally nobody. There's not a single person around me. Okay? No one within sight, no one within touch, and some guy tapping my shoulder. Excuse me. This is the entrance. They're right next to each other. There's a tiny little metal bracket that's about 2 inches long in between the entrance and the exit. And this guy's like, excuse me. He makes me walk backwards, go back, and walk through the entrance. Okay? It's one doorway right next to the other with a couple inch little metal bracket in between. And he taps on me, and he tells me to go back and walk through the entrance. Nobody is around me at all. There's nobody there. It's literally one step to my right. And I'm just like, okay, listen, I'm all for these rules, and I'm all for doing social distancing and all that kind of stuff. But you guys are splitting so much hair that there is nothing to gain from this. You're literally just pissing people off.
I felt so sorry for him, all those stewards and stuff like that, because if you're working there as a steward, you're not doing it for the love of stewarding, and you missed it when you might have snuck out the arena to get us some booze. But,
allegedly.
Possibly.
That may or may not have happened. I may or may not have put it. Never mind. You don't want to. These are questions you don't want to know. You don't want to know the answer to.
But these 5 pricks showed up, expats, and they were just fucking rude as anything to the stewards. From the second they sat down, they were shouting at the stewards, why are you spying on us? We've just come out to have fun. Leave us alone, and all this stuff, refusing to put the masks on. And I'm not saying the steward situation was annoying, but we were never once rude to them.
Oh, I was never rude to anybody.
No, we were 100% polite. But these people were fucking awful to them, absolute pricks. And a few other people were. And it's these poor stewards, they've just been given a job. They've been told what to do. It's not their fault. These rules are stupid, but this is Singapore, so those rules are going to be enforced.
Oh, yeah. And listen, I'm not saying, and I was never rude to anybody. I just did whatever they did.
Yeah.
But I feel like you got to use a little bit of common sense. Okay? My mask isn't hanging off my face the whole time. Come over and touch me every 10 minutes. Or if my nose is hanging out for more than a couple minutes, come and say something to me. If my nose pops out for 2 seconds and you tapping me on the shoulder and I'm okay, sorry. And then it just pops out and okay, sorry. If I'm pulling it down or if I'm deliberately disobeying the rules, fine. But if you give me another 10 seconds, I'll probably just put my fucking nose away anyway.
The poor woman, the same woman must have come to me like 50 times and been like, "Sir, can you put your mask on?" And I'd be like, "I'm really sorry, I just keep forgetting. I'm a bit drunk."
And we had some drinks before we went into the venue. So we had some drinks, and they put water, they put water next to us. So it's like we sit there, we take a drink of the water, maybe we sit over and chat. Excuse me. Listen.
See, I assumed the water was there so we could take our masks off. You know, like in a restaurant now where you walk straight in and they're like, "Here's your water. All right, I can take my mask off." I assumed that's what that water was for.
I mean, I literally never took my mask off once. It was just like my nose would pop out and I'd pull it down and have a drink and it'd pull back up and I'd just look over and talk and it would be down. And listen, and I'm not hating on the people who are doing their job. I get it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that is the reason why we left. Because the atmosphere was so oppressive. It wasn't like a middle ground of like reasonable levels of, okay, like, yes, you keep your mask on, but if it slips off for a sec, I'm not going to badger you every time I see a nostril. Like, I'll let it go to a certain point, and then if you're being a dick or you're being belligerent or it's off completely, then, you got to say stuff, right? You got to uphold the rules, but you still have to understand what's rude, what's intentional, what's like give me a chance to actually put the goddamn thing on if it slips off, right? Like, if my nose pops out. And so, anyway, by the end of it, like, we couldn't drink, we couldn't eat.
The 12,000 seater stadium as well. 500 people in it.
Maybe 500.
Well, that's what they said it was, but I don't think that was that. That was how many tickets were available. Everyone was so far spaced out from one another. There was zero atmosphere inside the stadium.
And, like we drank before because we knew we wouldn't be able to drink during. So it's like, after 3 or 4 hours, like we're hungry, we're thirsty, we wanted to have another drink. The atmosphere is dead. Like, it was just, so we literally like, it's going to be more fun just to watch this go. We went over to Major's place and we just decided to watch it there. Like, and it was way better.
It was way better. Also, that one cage is terrible for the audience.
Yeah.
Like, the way it's set out, they've got like cameras all the way around it with cameramen stood peering into the cage. And then the way the bar was at the top of the cage where we were, you couldn't see the fighters' heads, so you couldn't see what was happening.
And we're pretty close too. Like, we're pretty close, and we still couldn't see shit. So I can give up that if there's an atmosphere that can get you pumped and you can, but it was just dead. It fell flat on its head and got to the point that at like 10 o'clock or 11:30 or 10 or 11, whatever it was, we just decided to go back and leave and watch the main event. It was way better for it.
Yep.
It was way better for it. So, usually I love going to one. Like, I was really, really pumped to do it. And then after about an hour, like, Major's wife was falling asleep. Fucking, we were all just sat there. It got quiet. The buzz was starting to wear off. And we were just like, let's get the hell out of here. Order some more drinks and do this properly. And we did. And it was fun. And then that's when the Christian Lee nonsense took over. So
it got very exciting then.
Yeah.
It'd have been crap watching that in the stadium. You'd have been like, what's happening? I can't tell.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't regret that decision. So I probably won't be going to another one until they relax some of these restrictions, which is the opposite direction that we're going. And I'm going to rant hard about that shit in about half an hour. Let's get to the other shit before
let's
we
do
open up that can of worms.
Bishesh's MMA debut that we watched outside the stadium despite going there to watch it inside the stadium.
And it was better.
Yes, it was a lot better watching it.
So me, Jake, and Major and the wives literally sat there outside the stadium by the cheers.
Phone screen in hand, 12-pack next to us, sitting next to each other, which is hilarious, right? This is why the whole thing is so annoying, because the common sense shit. We can go outside and sit directly out front. I know indoor, outdoor. Okay, I get that, right? But there's just as much space. We're in a massive stadium. There's no one around us. There's just as much space, right? So we go outside, or we start out outside. There's more people outside than in the venue, up on top of each other. And we get 2 6-packs, and we sit there, 5-packs, drinking. No mask not on at all. Lovely. No one said shit. Wasn't an issue. Everybody else was doing it too. And that's when we watched the Buchecha destruction that we all sort of anticipated. And so, yeah, I mean... Again, people's psychic powers were in full force that night because Major literally called the finish to that fight. Not the joke itself, but it was like, okay, the guy's going to back up, spam an overhand right. Buchecha is going to take him down, and that's the end of it. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep. And that's because... And he and I think, talked about this on the podcast or shortly before. Most likely... here you go. Jake needs a refill.
Everyone needs a drink right now.
Okay, so, yeah. So basically, Major and I were talking about, you get a guy like Buchecha, obviously still newer to MMA, trying to work his striking, right? Probably trying to work his offensive wrestling. Like he's still developing into MMA.
And what did we learn about his striking in that fight? Nothing.
But what we did learn is that Anderson Braddock Silva, who's a kickboxer,
Can't do jiu-jitsu as well as a world champion.
That's one thing we learned. And we also learned that this is why Major and I go so hard about getting your MMA coaching from an MMA coach. Because what happens, we can almost guarantee with Anderson Silva, right? Almost certainly what happened is he's Brazilian. So he went and he did jiu-jitsu with a jiu-jitsu guy. He went and he did his wrestling with a wrestling coach. And he went and did his striking with a striking coach. The reason he got taken down instantly was not because his wrestling wasn't good enough. I mean, it probably wasn't. But he literally got backed up 2 steps and then put against the fence and taken down. An MMA coach would focus on the footwork and the distance to deal with a grappler like that, not the wrestling. The trick to dealing with that guy is not letting him keep him in the middle. If he tries to shoot open to you in the middle of the cage, it's going to be hard for him to take you down. If he makes you take 2 back steps, then he can pin you against the cage, you're fucked. The way to deal with Buchecha, if you're fighting him MMA, is to make sure you stay in the middle of the ring. Because it's so much harder to get those takedowns in the middle of the ring, shirts off, sweaty, than it is against the cage. And you need an MMA coach to work actual MMA footwork, knowing that there's a cage behind you to deal with that dude. Not like working your wrestling for a million hours. You're never going to catch up like that. If you control the distance and you don't get pinned up against the cage, that is your first line of defense for takedown defense. Not going to some wrestling coach. Not going to some jiu-jitsu coach. And, that's what Major and I were talking about. And sure enough, 5-10 seconds into the round, Buchecha pushes forward, pins him up against the cage, takes him down, and the fight was over immediately. Right? Guys, if you're listening to this, if you want to be an MMA fighter, don't learn MMA from your jiu-jitsu coach. Don't learn jiu-jitsu or don't learn MMA. If you want to be a good MMA wrestler, don't just learn how to wrestle. You need to learn how to MMA wrestle. You need to learn MMA jiu-jitsu. You need to learn MMA footwork. You need to learn MMA ring generalship. Just doing a bunch of sprawls and going to a wrestling coach or doing a bunch of get-ups will only get you so far. Because the reality is you need footwork. You need to learn how to circle against the cage. You need to learn how to get up with the cage. And I just don't think he was doing that. He was probably going to each discipline individually. And then you see him just get exploited instantly, right? So, that's at least me and Major's opinion on that. And we're two somewhat reasonable.
You might know what he's talking about, yeah.
Somewhat knowledgeable. There's certainly better guys in certain areas, but tough to be able to find like pure MMA guys in Singapore like us. Like at least the opinion is worth respecting. Not that we're tooting our own horns or anything like that. But if you want to learn MMA, you got to train MMA. You can't just go wrestle and then think that you got MMA wrestling. It doesn't work like that. All right, dude.
Shout out to Joshua Pasha as well. He put on a hell of a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Well, is it not a fight? You just murdered someone. A hell of a display.
Good call. Yeah, first round finish with Saruta. That was actually a sick finish.
Yeah.
Because they had a couple close fights before that, like 5 rounds, long wars. And then once he put hands on him, he just finished him. He's a real prospect, man. He's like 24 years old. Kid's legit. Already beat Alex Silva. Already beat Saruta twice now. Those are the top 2 guys in the division. So, yeah, the Team Lakai's Joshua Pasha looked damn good. Good call. Shout out to him. Shout out to Capitan, even though the fight was kind of lame and we all expected it.
He did not live up to the One Punch Man monkey that he gave himself.
No, he didn't. But, still, defended the title.
Yep.
Defended the title is what it is. All right. Shall we go to the UFC from today? We had a...
Are we talking fight of the year already?
Oh, yeah.
Well, not already. It's now nearly October, but you get what I mean.
Fight of the year and toughness award of the lifetime goes to Brian Ortega. Who's tougher than that dude? Between the Max Holloway beatdown and then this, who's got beat down harder than that guy and still fighting? And the thing, they mentioned it on the broadcast, people can get beat down, but they're beaten. You can see them beaten. And they'll still fight, but they're not trying to win. Ortega was still trying to win even though he was getting beaten down. He was still dangerous even though he was getting destroyed by the end of that fight. I mean, I think he won the 5th round.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
I think he won. I can't believe the judges. What is with this shitty judging? First of all, the 3rd round, I think, when Ortega nearly submitted him twice and dropped him with a punch. So he dropped him with a punch, got on top of him, jumped on the mounted guillotine. Okay, got reversed, put him in a triangle where he's dead to rights. I cannot believe he escaped. And then You know, to be fair, Volkanovski hurt him a little bit after that with the ground and pound for sure.
That was the third. Because I wanted to. Yeah, keep going.
But I mean, what do you value higher? Because he dropped him before that, and then almost near finished him twice, and then Volkanovski put it on him at the end there. But that was in the last 30 seconds of the round, maybe.
Yeah, but my thing with that was I think I'm right in saying that was the end of the third. I think Ortega would have got finished at the start of the fourth, but they took so long with the doctor checking his eye. When he got off his stool at the start of the fourth round, he was done.
Well, he just laid there at the end of the third.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to stop it.
Yeah.
I was like, is he unconscious or is he just resting?
Yep.
But I think he was just resting because I think he was communicating with the referee.
Yeah.
So it seemed what I think I saw it, and he laid there for 10, 15 seconds, and I thought, dude, he might be out.
Yeah.
And then I rewatched it, and what I think happened was like the round ended, and he's just laying there. He's like, I'm just gonna chill here for a second, and the referee's like, you okay? Okay, and he gives some kind of verbal command that he's okay, and then he just lays there, and he's like, the fucking stool's not here yet, so I'm just gonna lay here for a few seconds and just get my shit back together. And he did.
But he got.
But you're right about that.
Yeah, he got that. So he got extra time there. Then he got his normal corner. Time. Then he got at least another minute with the doctor and the ref checking his eye. Because when he got off his stool, he looked fucked. He looked like he was not going to be able to last very long in the fight. And then that extra time. In fact, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's tough as anything. But if he'd have won that fight after that, I think that would have been massively unfair on Volkanovski.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and I also think that you're right about because it happened twice as well. There was the time.
Oh yeah, and the fourth, it was the same thing.
And also when Herb Dean was asking him how many fingers am I showing up, I think it was after the third or after the fourth or whatever it was, he got it wrong once or twice, and then they asked him again, and then he got it right, and then the doctor came, and then they rubbed him down, and then he got a little bit of time to clear his head, and all the power to him. He came in. I thought he won the fifth round.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought if you score it round by round, it was 2-3, even though Volkanovski definitely beat him down.
Yeah.
He definitely beat him down. But it was closer than it looked. And Ortega had,
next level jiu-jitsu.
I mean, I'm putting a lot of praise to Ortega for toughness, but goddamn, Volkanovski's motherfucking cardio. What a machine that guy. Plus, is he the nicest champion ever? It's like him and GSP have got to be the two nicest dudes. Like, I'd sit down and like have a beer and barbecue with Volkanovski, and I feel like I really feel like I could talk to him like I'm talking to you. Like, we're just two dudes sitting here shooting the shit, friendly as ever.
Unless I will happily cheer for Volkanovski, unless the guy across the other side of the ring from him's name is Holloway.
I mean, those two, right? I hope they become like best friends one day. Like, I just want to see.
I just hope they have a third rematch.
I feel like they have to now. But I mean. Are we in the territory of Volkanovski being the greatest featherweight of all time? Are we in the territory? He's won 20 fights in a row.
Holloway.
He's beat both of the best featherweights of all time. And he beat unless you want to Christian Lee this shit and call out Dana to overturn that second one.
Overturn
that
fight.
Dana, the board. Like, overturn that shit. Unless you want to do that. I mean, listen. For better or worse, he beat Holloway twice. It could be 1-1. You can make that argument. He for sure beat him the first time.
Yeah, he beat him the first time, no two ways.
Beat Jose Aldo.
Yep.
20 fights in a row. 10 in a row in the UFC. Beat the two. If you're going to pick the best featherweights of all time, it's either Aldo or it's Holloway. And
it's just the fact that we get to see them all fight one another is brilliant, unlike boxing, which I'm sure we'll get to in a bit, where we don't get to see anyone fight anyone.
There's a lot of juicy stuff today. Oh, I got some more juicy stuff too. Ooh. We can do a little current event segment later where we can mention Dylan Dennis and a little John Jones action if you're wanting some juicy shit.
Let's not bring it down.
No, it's not down. It's funny. Both of them are kind of funny to me in their own ways. Anyway, we'll finish up on this Volkanovski Ortega stuff. I mean, with Volkanovski, who's next? Can you pull up the UFC Featherweight Rankings? Obviously, Holloway's the number one contender. Ortega was number 2.
But Holloway's got a fight.
Oh, yeah. He's fighting Yair.
Oh, is he?
It's Yair Rodriguez, right?
No.
Which is
so many tabs to open at once.
Which is a banger of a fight. I'm pretty sure that's the fight. I think they actually rescheduled it, and then they're doing it again. I mean, the featherweight division, the lightweight division, the bantamweight division in the UFC.
Oh, you're right. I didn't.
Yeah,
I just saw he had a fight. I didn't see who it was against. And now I'm even more excited.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, man. That is a a good one. But if Holloway wins that one, it's hard to deny him the third fight, I think.
Yeah.
And if Yair wins that, then it's definitely going to be Yair and Volkanovski. And Volkanovski will ground and pound him into oblivion just like Frankie Edgar did, I think. Yair, it's hard to get a good vibe on him.
Plus, he won that fight that he was absolutely losing, that he then won with the miracle finish.
Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the greatest knockout of all time, in my opinion. Yeah, that or the Joaquin Buckley jumping back kick. Those got to be 1 and 2 all-time knockouts. But you got to give it to Yair Rodriguez because it was in the 5th round. In the last 10 seconds of a fight, he was losing.
Right, I'm going to bring this up and just look at the sneaky person, though, coming in 4th place who might beat them all.
Oh, Giga. Oh, Jake,
See what I mean?
son of a bitch. You just made me erect. I forgot about Giga. Wow. Yeah, man. That motherfucker. Good luck striking with him. Now, the question is his grappling. I mean, if Volkanovski gets a hold of him, I mean, you see the beat down he put on Brian Ortega in the guard. Granted, he had to go through some hellfire, and Ortega was throwing some submissions up to him that would have killed lesser men.
Yeah.
How the fuck did he escape that guillotine in that triangle?
It was weird. It was a weird fight as well because I thought, has Brian Ortega forgot he's really good at jiu-jitsu? And then it went to the ground and suddenly it was on.
And then you're like, oh shit! And he dropped him too with that punch.
Yeah.
The mounted guillotine. It was the same one that he submitted. I can't remember who it was with, but he does that move where he gets the guillotine and then he jumps into the like mounted triangle with it. And then in that fight that I can't remember who he fought, but then he rolled back with a triangle. So I thought he was going to do that, but then he got the triangle. Dude, he had the head control. He had the angle. He had the posture. He had everything. I don't know how the hell Volkanovski escaped those submissions. The guillotine and the triangle, I thought for sure both times he was dead to rights. I mean, that dude is gangster.
When you're so good at triangle chokes that it's your nickname.
Yeah, T-City.
Yep.
And it was a signature move. I mean, he was close, man. That's definitely as close as Volkanovski's ever been to losing in the UFC. So shout out to both guys, man. Like, they're both G's. They're just both awesome. That featherweight division is a monster. And there's going to be some damn good fights to come up. And let's just briefly hit on the Shevchenko-Murphy fight and then the Diaz-Lawler fight. I mean, Shevchenko and Murphy, it's, pretty much to be expected.
Yep.
Murphy fought a good fight, but she's 38 years old, doesn't have nearly the experience.
Valentina's arguably
the
pound
best.
for pound best her Nunes at this moment in time.
I mean, I think if you're making the argument pound for pound, it's Valentina because she's smaller, way smaller, right? Way, way smaller. And the fact they fought such a close decision and like Amanda's weight, like Amanda probably walks around 20 to 30 pounds heavier than her. And they still had fought to split decision that most recent time. Pound for pound, I give it to Valentina. Obviously, they fought and Amanda won twice. So you got to give her the nod, the like better of the two nod. But currently, like pound for pound, weight, all things equal, skill for skill, I think Valentina's the best in the world. I mean, what a fucking legend.
Oh, she's amazing.
Living legend.
Did you see what she said? She was asked how long it would take her and her sister to beat the Paul brothers, and she was like, 0 seconds. and the best bit is, it's true.
I mean, if one in the front, one behind, they just fucking... I was going to say gangbang, but that's kind of weird.
It would be, but on the Paul brothers...
Listen, I wouldn't turn that shit down. I'd be like, just take me. All right. And then let's get to another juicy one, which was... This fight card was just a banger all around. Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz.
My favorite bit about this fight was how they had it in slow motion.
How Nick did anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Diaz brothers do. They're not fast twitch.
No.
Like, everybody was kind of shitting on the pad work and all that kind of... But Nick landed a lot of shots, and his shots looked like that. The thing I noticed were two things about Nick. First, the change in the weight class made me nervous. He looked a little thick, and he kept saying... What did he say in his post-fight interview?
I've not seen it.
He kept saying, like, I had it coming for me. I had it coming for me. I had it coming for me. And that makes me think that he didn't prepare enough. And it could be twofold. One could be, which he mentioned also, that he hadn't fought in 7 years.
Yeah.
And there could be some rust there. And two could be he didn't prepare enough properly. And he also mentioned, what else did he say? He also said that I had it coming for me. And that, he goes, I don't even know how this fight happened. He's like, I don't even know how I got here. Which, those two things, like his body, the fact that he changed the weight class, the fact that he said, I had it coming, and the fact that he says, I don't even know how I got here, all suggest to me that he took the fight and didn't prepare himself. Because one thing the Diaz brothers never do is quit.
Yeah, and he quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been half in and half out for so long, and I just don't think he's actually back in. I think he was like, something to do.
I mean, it started off looking like a Diaz fight, but always what happens is when they get to that point, they crank it up. They don't go down. And then he got hit with a punch that didn't kill him. He was conscious. For sure it sucked, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, a Diaz brother not getting up from that's never happened before. And he's 38. He didn't have his, like, fuck you, Stockton, pissed off kind of energy, which happens as you get older. It's hard to maintain that shit for 30 fucking years.
It's hard to act like a angry 20-year-old when you're
pushing 40. Yeah, when you're pushing 40. So you wonder how much of that is age, how much of it is wear and tear, how much of it is lack of preparation, how much of it is mental, how much of it is all,
But if he wants to fight, I'll still watch him. Still enjoyable, but don't put him in against the I think that was a perfect fight. Him and Robbie Lawler. Let them both fight like that. Let him fight Cowboy next, or someone of that same sort of era, same sort of ilk, who's still got it but can't fight a young up and coming killer anymore.
But if he couldn't beat Robbie Lawler, and this is no disrespect to Robbie Lawler, but Robbie Lawler hadn't won a fight since 2017.
Yeah,
he was on a 4-fight losing streak. Look, not horrible in his fights. He wasn't getting knocked out in his losses or anything like that, other than the Woodley one. And he had the one win against Cowboy. That was his last win, I think, 4 years ago, something like that. If you can't beat a 40-year-old Robbie Lawler who's clearly past his prime, and you're also pushing 40, I mean, who else can they put him in against? You know what I mean?
Well, Cowboy. I'll pay to watch that.
But isn't Cowboy done?
I don't know, is he?
I mean, I don't think they've mentioned.
But that surely tempt him. It could be same weight class. It'd be a good fight.
Yeah, but not. I mean, do you trust Nick Diaz to make 170? Because if you put a lightweight against a middleweight, right? Like if they, let's say that they make that fight, they try to make it at 170. Well, Donald Cerrone's a lightweight. He's a 155er anyway. And then you think, okay, well, Diaz wouldn't do the welterweight for whatever reason. Who knows what reason? I don't know, man. It's hard for me to imagine the UFC investing much more in Nick Diaz after that performance, because I think it would be tough. Who else would you give him to?
Yeah.
Who else that's a welterweight? And again, he didn't even make welterweight. So, I mean, who else could you put him in there against? It's a tough one, which makes me sad. Really sad. I mean, Masvidal would be fun, but
no,
you don't want to see that if you can't beat Lawler, right? So it was one of those bittersweet things, and everybody was just wondering what Nick Diaz would show up, and that was not the Nick Diaz that people wanted to see show up, I think.
Yeah, but
even Nate looked like shit in his last fight, but he rallied in the 5th. His cardio was there, and he showed up on weight, and he was fighting the number 1 contender.
Yeah.
Robbie's not
near
the number 1 contender, so.
I don't know though. Maybe they'll chalk it up and he's not fought for 6 years. Bit of ring rust. They'll if he wants one, they'll definitely give him one more fight.
Well, he did say in his interview that if he loses this, he wants to come right back right away. But when Nick Diaz says shit, I mean, you can only take it. You can only take it with a grain of salt, right?
Yep.
So kudos to Robbie Lawler. That's all I'll say, because Robbie Lawler is a fucking legend. I need to get one of those 5th round Robbie Lawler shirts. I love that fucking shirt. Need to get one of those, man. What a legend. His title run was one of the most violent ever.
Him McDonald, one of the greatest fights ever.
That's the fight. If people tell me they want to be a fighter, I'm like, watch that fight first. You watch that, and then really tell me that you want some of that, because that's what can happen to you. It's one of the most amazing fights ever. But if I want to turn somebody off of fighting, it's so brutal. That's the fucking fight I'll show them.
Yeah, show them that.
That's my greatest MMA fight of all time. Is Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald too.
Just the bit where
I literally I got cold chills.
Yeah.
I literally just fucking got cold chills thinking about them staring down each other in the 4th round, fucking bloody. Robbie Lawler's lips hanging off of his head
And Rory McDonald just gets. He just can't take he is so strong and so tough in that fight and so durable, and he just can't take it anymore. Yeah. It's amazing.
And the body gave out. It wasn't the mind. He got hit, legs went boop, and then. Done, dude. In a heap of blood. Robbie Lawler screaming, his fucking lip cut in half. They stare down at each other at the end of the fourth. Fucking crazy, dude. I got cold chills again. Anyway, Robbie Lawler, you're a fucking legend, bro. And, yeah, what else? A couple other ones I want to shout out there. What was the
Blade Rosenstruck went the way I guessed it would. He was going to just lay on top of him and hit him a bit.
Yeah, Blade's still up in the top of that division. You know,
he seems to struggle. He can beat anyone who's not as good a wrestler as him, and then as soon as he comes up with anyone who seems to be his level or more about his level but a better striker than him, he can't beat him.
I mean, even Rosenstruck landed that flying knee when he went in for the takedown. I thought that was going to take him out, right?
I got a picture for you.
Oh yeah, look at his eye. Woo, can you zoom in? Is it possible to zoom in on that?
Oh, we can get writing in there.
Oh yeah, get it.
Full 4K detail if you want.
That eye is closed. You know what's weird? I mean, Blades just can't. And if anything should tell you how much of a master George St. Pierre is, it's like you get a guy like Curtis Blades who is trying to be a GSP, right? He's got functioning strength or functioning striking, good wrestling, but the blending them together and the unpredictability is the real mastery, right?
Yep.
And you see, even though he's one of the best wrestlers, he always gets caught going in on takedowns. He always gets caught. He didn't get knocked out today. But
he has.
But Derek Lewis caught him coming in, and Ngannou caught him coming in, knocked him out twice coming up. If it was a couple inches difference on that knee, he caught him with the thigh.
Yeah.
A little bit. If that had been a little lower, that would have KO'd him too. I mean, look at his face. He looks like the Elephant Man. Old reference.
Yeah, that is a hell of a hematoma he got there. And he's lucky. He didn't blow up that much in the fight. In the fight, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. Otherwise, the doctor might have looked at it.
Yeah, he may have like blown his nose or something after the fight and
then
just exploded like that, right? And I want to shout out one more amazing fight on the card was Merab Dvalishvili and Marlon Moraes.
You mean the fight that the ref didn't tell? Like they went, "Oh, you can stop this if it gets too much."
If he dies, he dies. And then Dvalishvili was like, "Cool, I'll fucking die."
Yeah, I'll die. No,
dude,
mate.
He was dead. Like he literally looked like he was dead. He fucking zombied out. Let me ask you this:
that fight, 9 out of 10 times that fight was stopped.
Oh yeah. And I put this on the group chat. I don't know if it was a Stronghold one, but I literally said, "Has anyone ever TKO'd themselves with exhaustion twice, other than Marlon Moraes?" He literally TKO'd himself. He was so tired after. Okay, I know that he's putting a lot of his energy into finishing him because he had him dead to rights, right? But even still, you're a bantamweight.
Yeah,
how are you dead after
so
5
tired?
minutes? After 5 minutes, how are you so tired? Like, look at Brian Ortega. Look at Volkanovski. Volkanovski is putting a pace on people. Fucking Marlon Moraes is one of the best guys in that division talent-wise. And this motherfucker doesn't have more than 5 minutes of cardio.
Yeah,
He's got one thing to work on.
Yeah, let's all chip together, buy him a running machine.
Dude, get on the treadmill. Lose some muscle mass. You're too fast twitch. Like, just lose some muscle mass. If you need to run miles a day. If you do that, you're the champ. Yeah. Even against Cejudo, he beat him up for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then he started the shift. He was exhausted after 5 minutes. And even that finishing sequence lasted for 1 minute, 1 minute and a half. Okay, so if I unload my entire gas tank in 1 minute and a half and I can't recover in between rounds, like as a bantamweight, and people are like, yeah, but he's muscles on top of muscles. And I'm like, yeah, but he's a bantamweight.
Yeah, lose some of those muscles, though, and develop some cardio, and you'll still have a shit ton of muscles.
Yeah. Even Francis Ngannou was like, even he could go for more than 5 minutes, right? Even against Stipe.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but to be fair, Merab, he's like a Volkanovski type. He puts on a wrestling pace that's ridiculous. That guy might be your next champ.
Yeah.
He's the dark horse in the division, I'd say. Especially after that performance. That's going to put him near the top 5. It come from behind. Blood and guts. Dead to rights victory. If you haven't watched that one, like victory from the hands of defeat, watch that one but it's just not Merab. Marlon. Just get a fucking treadmill, dude. Run. What are you doing?
Skipping rope. Get a skipping rope.
Are you lifting weights? Are you lifting weights, dude? What are you doing? Stop lifting weights. You're explosive enough. Your problem is never that you're not hurting people. Your problem is that your cardio lasts for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and those fights generally last for 15?
I mean, he knocked out Aljamain Sterling with a head kick. He knocked out a bunch of people cold, ice cold. It's there. Like, if you just stop lifting weights, that is still going to be there. But you need cardio, bro.
Yeah.
You need one or two things. You need cardio or you need efficiency. And probably cardio, let's be honest, because if you can't go 5 minutes without burning yourself out trying to beat up someone else, like, he's literally exhausting himself trying to beat someone else up. Anyway, but great fight. I love watching Marlon fight. He's just one of those guys that has incredible potential and just can't seem to put it together. All right, dude.
Shout out to I didn't see it, but shout out to Dan Hooker and the fella he fought as well, of showing up in the morning of the fight and having a go at one another. And apparently, I'm going to go home and watch it. It's a really good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Dan Hooker dominated it pretty clearly. But if you don't know the story, Nasrat, the guy he fought, his mom died like last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that. And after his mom died, he just had a brutal time getting a visa. And same thing with Dan Hooker. Like, he literally arrived 2 days before the fight or something.
Yeah.
Somehow made weight, even though he doesn't know what's going on. And the lockdowns are so strict in New Zealand that he literally couldn't even... He had to train in his home. He couldn't go to the gym. All gyms are closed. And apparently he was getting hustled by the police. And they were just making it a goddamn nightmare for him to get out. And so, yeah, kudos to those guys for showing up, doing the damn thing in the COVID times. And Dan Hooker needed a win, hey.
Yeah.
He's another one that just seems like a real, really nice guy. And man,
he seems like he's got he can get to a certain level. He can't yet, and I'm not saying he can't beat the top guys because he's still got time to develop, but he can't yet beat the top guys.
Yeah, but he is. I mean, look at that fight with Poirier. That was close, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably your champ. And that fight was razor close. He's right there.
Yeah,
he's right there. He needs a little bit of momentum, which is damn hard to do when you can't train in your gym. It's hard to build your skills, but just little tweaks here and there, and he's right there. He's right there. All right, dude, I feel like before we bounce, which we got to do before too long, is we should hit up that. I want to talk about Dylan Dennis, and I want to talk about...
Wait, can we first complain about the boxing? Because it's not a podcast unless we complain about boxing.
Oh, yes. Please. Do you want to take this? You felt you Brit? You dirty Brit? You want your red coat motherfucker? You want to take this?
Goddamn boxing. Goddamn Anthony Joshua. Oh, we could have the greatest fight of the modern boxing era in Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. We could put that fight on. We're boxing. Let's put that fight on. Nah, let's not.
No, let's take a tune-up fight against a cruiserweight. What's the worst that could happen?
What the worst thing that could happen there is that he could lose, and the greatest fight in modern boxing history could then fall out the fucking window. That's what could happen, and that's what has happened. I'm so annoyed. Like, and Joshua deserved to lose, no two ways about it. But my God, boxing, sort yourself out. Like, you want to know why people love the UFC? Because they put on the fights we want to see. You want to know why we love one? They put on the fights we want to see. You want to know why people don't give a shit about boxing? They do not put on fights I want to see.
And they don't put them on when when the timing is right.
Yep.
Which is the whole thing with fighting. I mean, okay, now let's say Joshua gets an immediate rematch. He will, because Eddie Hearn will do some shady ass shit, and there's an immediate rematch clause, and then maybe he'll beat Usyk, and then he'll have another mandatory minimum with some other asshole, and then, you know, if he beats him, then maybe they'll have to do another match between him and Usyk. And spoiler alert, in case nobody knows, Alexander Usyk beat Anthony Joshua today.
Yep.
220-pound Alexander Usyk, the former cruiserweight champion, went up in weight class and outboxed AJ, which all the kudos to him. But if you imagine him stepping in there with 7 feet tall, 270-pound Tyson Fury,
who is a significantly better boxer than Anthony Joshua,
who's slick, massive. I mean, he literally outweighed him by 50 pounds. For whatever reason, and this is going to be the narrative, this is going to be the talking point, AJ lost like 10, 15 pounds for this fight. Man, he looked way leaner. Still, by the way, had a 20-pound weight advantage. I think the theory was that he wanted to be quick and he was afraid he'd be bulky if he came in too heavy. But he still, even
he does not retain his power at all well when he cuts down.
Yeah, he certainly didn't today.
No.
I mean, AJ won some rounds and everything, and it looked close going on in the early parts, and then Usyk just was slicker.
Yeah. He was
slicker. But, you know, I really think that reinforces the fact that, first of all, boxing sucks. Boxing, you're terrible. We'll keep saying this on every podcast if we need to. Boxing, fuck you. Boxing, you suck. Boxing, I hate you. I love you, but I hate you. I love boxing. I hate the organization of boxing. The alphabet bodies can go fuck yourself. I'm going to get angry soon.
Preach.
I'm already
Preach.
This is just going to lead into my next angry fucking rant.
So how do you feel about the lockdown?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. I've been boiling. Anyway, let's finish up on this Usyk shit and this Joshua shit. Yeah,
Fair play to Usyk as well. Hell of a performance.
sure. But they had the opportunity to do Tyson Fury and Joshua at Wembley. They could have sold that shit out. It would have been the greatest fight in British boxing history.
Right, no. I'm going above that. That would be the greatest fight of the modern era.
Yes, it's a fight everybody wanted to see. Everybody was even willing to get over the Ruiz loss.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
We were just pretending that didn't happen.
Yeah, because you know what could have happened? The even greater fight, which would have been an undefeated Tyson Fury against an undefeated Anthony Joshua. And that got taken away. And then, okay, Joshua comes back and he beats Ruiz as Ruiz looks like he ate the entire fucking country.
Because Ruiz spent his entire fight purse on food.
He ate every goddamn chalupa and enchilada and taco and all of fucking Mexico. Came in 30 pounds heavier than he already was.
Okay, I'm saying that is the worst title defense ever.
Oh, man. And then, okay, so AJ gets that one back. All right, we'll give him Povetkin. And then we'll do the Fury fight. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's do the Usyk fight. Now, fuck you. Now we got to do the AJ rematch. We got Wilder and Fury doing their third fight that was unnecessary. Then Usyk, let's say AJ wins the next one. Then Usyk's going to get another automatic rematch. Let's say fucking Wilder wins. Then we're going to get another Fury. It's just like, and then they're going to have mandatory minimums.
Yeah, and let's never forget, we're also running the risk of Tyson Fury going on a cocaine binge at any moment in time.
Yeah, get him while he's there. He's going to fuck it up eventually. Tyson Fury, I love you. I hope you don't. I hope your mental health is in order.
Please don't. We love
Please
you,
don't.
But it is an option.
He already is looking a little thick. Have you seen him recently?
Yeah, he's also acting a little crazy.
I'm a little worried. Honestly, I'm a little worried. Because I think Wilder's on his A game. I think he knows this is his last chance to unify the titles. And if Fury comes in thinking it's going to be the same fight as that second one, and he lets his guard down. Listen, if you give Deontay Wilder 36 rounds... If you give him, because there's 12 rounds.
He's only got to hit you once.
If you give that, I mean, to be fair, Fury finished him in the 7th or the 8th or whatever in the last fight. But if you give that guy 30 rounds to land that dynamite on you, there's a good fucking chance he will.
In Tyson Fury's defense, though, Party Boy Fury did beat Klitschko.
That's true. That's true. But Klitschko's 100 years old at that fight. 100 years old. Oh, moral of the story, fuck you, boxing buddy. You suck so bad. You suck so bad, dude.
Oh, and the worst bit is, you could be so good.
I know. It's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's definitely there.
This could be the greatest era of heavyweight boxing since the late 80s, early 90s, if boxing didn't suck so hard. But it does. And here we are. Still kind of crunk for the Wilder Fury third fight. This is the thing with boxing, right? I hate you. I'm still going to watch you. I'm still going to do it, even though I literally hate every second of it, but I also love it. And... can we talk about Dylan Dennis and John Jones real quick?
Yeah, let's throw it all in now.
Real quick.
Let's go.
Okay, so should we talk about the most John Jones things of all time or talk about the most Dylan Dennis thing of all time? Which one do you want to hit up first?
My favourite thing is the UFC's like, oh, yo, we need to induct some people in this Hall of Fame. Where's your John Jones Gustafsson? We'll just induct that fight. Where are we doing the inductions again? Las Vegas. Yeah, I can't see a problem. Maybe... John will be all right. John won't go wild, will he? John's not known for that. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, John's been fine recently. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know what the worst part is? I mean, there's so many worst parts. But it was like domestic abuse. That's what the charges were. And then vandalizing a car or something like that. I mean, it didn't get into specifics, but what that suggests to me is that he got like physically violent with some woman, which...
Never a good look.
Never a good look, man. And this potentially fucks up the Ngannou-Gon fight, or the winner of the Ngannou-Gon fight against John Jones. But it is. I saw a great tweet. It was like John Jones getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and then going in jail the night after is the most John Jones things that John Jones has ever done.
I just saw a great tweet. I've not seen this. I'll throw it on the screen. Oh wait.
Oh, what does that say? What is it for the listeners?
Step Brothers 2, bunkmates to cellmates, in the picture of Dennis and Jones.
Yeah, Dennis and Jones sitting there next to each other.
I've not seen that.
Oh my God, that is fucking hilarious. So yeah, Dylan Dennis, the trollest troll of all time, gets arrested, gets taken down by the police, taps out to a choke, and then gets put in jail for the night. What is it? 3 days later, John Jones. I mean, this is just you can't write this.
Yeah,
shit.
I absolutely love it.
You can't write this shit. And the best part, can you go to Tom DeBlass's Instagram? Did you see this?
Yeah, you sent him. But I'd not read about the Dennis thing at times. I don't understand.
Yeah, so Tom DeBlass, who's one of Gordon Ryan's coaches, and he's in that community with the Danaher guys and Gary Tonin, and Tom DeBlass is the person who gave Gary Tonin his black belt. Speaking of, Gary Tonin fighting for the one title pretty soon. And then dude, Tom DeBlass literally got this video because apparently it was like 15 minutes away from where he lives that Dylan got arrested. And Tom DeBlass offered the guy who choked Dylan unconscious, or not unconscious, but made him tap out, got his back and choked him out, offered him a year of free training at his gym, and the guy fucking accepted it. So literally, like, Tom DeBlass is trolling Dylan so hard. And the worst part is, like, Dylan, you totally deserve it, dude. You haven't fought anybody. You haven't fought anybody, bro. Like, you've had one MMA fight.
You also look like you spent all your money you made from jiu-jitsu and, MMA and that. It looks like you've stuffed all that up your nose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look for Dylan, man. And listen, you reap what you sow, man. You know what I mean? You reap what you sow. And now he's got some other knee injury that I just saw. And I'm realizing, I checked his age. He's like 29 now.
Oh, yeah.
28, 29.
He's not a young kid anymore.
He was. Like,
Yeah.
when he first made Bellator and he was coming, you're like, okay, Dylan, like, you could, listen, I'll do all the trolling while you're winning and if you're fighting. But if you're not fighting and you're not winning and you haven't fought anybody and you haven't fought in years and you're trolling this hard and you didn't beat anybody in jiu-jitsu, you didn't win any jiu-jitsu world championships.
And you constantly call out Gordon Ryan and then duck him at every single opportunity.
Did you see Jake Paul?
No.
Come at Dylan. So Jake Paul released all of the DMs that him and Jake sent, that Dylan and Jake sent back and forth trying to arrange that fight. Jake, honestly, super nice, man. Like, honestly, like he literally fucking nailed it. Like, I'm starting to like him. Is that weird? I'm starting to like him. He was like, he literally goes through because Tommy Fury did the same thing. So basically, he did a video where he's talking about Tommy Fury. He offered Tommy Fury like $1 million to take that fight. And Tommy Fury didn't take the fight. And then he released all the DMs with a conversation with Dylan Dennis, and he did the same thing. He's like, Dylan, you've got like a couple days to decide if you want this fight. I'm offering you upwards of $1 million for this fight if you want to take the fight. Dylan didn't take the fight. Okay? Tommy Fury didn't take the fight against Jake fucking Paul. He offered Dylan Dennis the biggest paycheck of his life for probably the easiest fight that he could get. And I'm not saying that Jake Paul's an easy fight. I'm saying that you're fighting a guy with 3 fights.
Yeah.
Dylan Dennis, if he's been training all these years, like, that fight makes sense. Like, I could get on board with that fight in terms of skill level, experience. It makes sense. And he will never get offered that amount of money or get that amount of exposure for a fight against a guy with against a fighter with a guy who had 3 fights. And then Jake was like, listen, these guys talk shit. They talk shit. He actually gives them the platform to fucking get national stardom and like millions of dollars. And these guys who talk all this shit don't take it. Listen, Jake Paul, you probably knocked me out, bro. I don't know what you're on. You're way bigger than me.
Me and Luke.
You send me $1 million contract, I'll sign that bitch right now.
I want some of this action as well. I'll go first. You will literally knock me out in probably 10 seconds.
I'll split the purse with you, bro.
Right, I'm going first. You'll knock me out in 10 seconds. It's not even a fight. Don't worry about it. Then Luke's going to go in. What are we saying? Million?
Yeah.
Million each.
Halvesies, bro.
Yeah, halvesies. No, million each. It's good.
Whatever. I mean, I'll do halvesies. I don't give a fuck. He's way bigger than me. If he landed a hard one on my guard or something, it'd be a problem. I think I'm a more technical boxer. I mean, I've been boxing for 12 fucking years.
Yeah.
But he's younger than me. He's strong. He's big.
Yeah.
Whatever. I would honestly take that fight. How do you get these fighters who won't fight Jake Paul? What is this?
I'm 41 and not in shape because I keep on getting in shape and then there's a lockdown. It's a long, complicated story. I'll take $1 million.
Listen,
you'll murder me.
Listen, give me the $1 million. Send it to me in Bitcoin. You know what I mean? Whatever happens, happens. I'll try my hardest. I'll get in shape. I'll be 160 pounds, but I'll get in there and fucking try, right? Like, I just can't believe this stuff. And John Jones, I mean, again, the most John Jones thing of all time. So, I mean, there's a lot of crazy MMA news this week. There's a lot going on. I think there's even some more shit, but we got to get you out of here pretty soon.
I'm all right. I got time. We're
Okay,
talking.
cool.
It's fun. Do you remember that time when Ben Affleck was training for Batman and took all those steroids to get in shape for Batman and went
Are
crazy?
you suggesting I become Batman and take the steroids and fight Jake Paul? Is that what you're suggesting on my podcast?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't what I was suggesting, but now you've come up with the idea. Let's do that. No, but it happened to Ben Affleck when he was putting on a lot of mass, shall we say. And to do that, he was taking a lot of steroids and went roid rage on someone on one of the talk shows. And I'm just saying that John Jones has put on an awful lot of mass lately.
I mean, the thing with him is he's taken some time to put that weight on. But he said he's about 260 right now, right?
Yeah.
There was an interview with him that said he's 260, trying to get up to 270 because he wants to cut down to like 260 or whatever, 265. I don't know, man. It's pretty tough to put on. Well, I reckon he walked around at probably 230 before when he was the light heavyweight champ. So that's a lot of weight pretty quick. But I don't understand what it's like to have the athletic genes of the Jones family, so I can't really say. But, I mean, you know, it's not like John's taken stuff before, so why would we even...
Yeah.
Why would you think that, Jake? Based on previous histories?
It's not like what I'm saying, scandalous.
It's not like picograms are a thing. So, yeah, exactly, right?
Right, I do have to go. So, a couple more things. Do you want to finish on a rant or some amazing news? Or we'll do both things, but which one do you want to do first?
Okay, let's do the rant, or let's do the amazing news and then the rant, because I'll save my personal nonsense for the end of the podcast.
Okay, so this is a new section called Nerd Corner. Did you see the thing I sent you through from Nintendo?
Yes.
Oh my
did.
God. Please put GoldenEye on that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Nintendo are doing an N64 emulator. So I am absolutely pumped for it. It looks amazing. To top it off as well, they've got a Sega Genesis emulator on there. But if you do GoldenEye, we are going to live stream a podcast of us playing GoldenEye.
Old school Gold. I literally have not played GoldenEye since 1998 or whenever it came out, right? That and Mario Kart 64. And the original Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
The OG one for Nintendo 64. Yeah, I watched that whole Nintendo Direct thing, and I got a little bit of a gamer boner.
Oh, I'm so excited for all of it. All of it. Metroid Dread's coming out. I can't wait for Metroid Dread. I've convinced my son that Metroid's the greatest game in the world, and then I've convinced him that this N64 emulator is what he really needs in his life, so I've got an excuse to buy
Although
it.
he's played newer games, he'll probably look at them and be like, the graphics are so...
No, he's 5. He doesn't know.
Yeah, he's probably still into it.
Yep.
He's probably still into it. Yeah, there was some other good stuff that they announced too. Nintendo. I haven't played a Switch game in a while. I'm ready to get into it. I've been playing mad Elder Scrolls Online. That's my current jam. I'm just addicted to it all the time. But yeah, we need to do more gaming content. My couch is coming soon, and then I'm going to set this TV up so we can do some live streams.
This is what I'm talking about though. And then when they announced GoldenEye N64 re-released on the Switch, we are going to do a live show, and I think Major was game as well.
Yeah, he mentioned it too.
It'd be amazing.
Maybe some old school Smash Bros.
Oh, all of it.
I'm thinking about starting a Twitch channel. And you know why? Because I'm like, I play all these video games for no fucking reason anyway. Why don't I just like put a fucking camera on me and just see what's up, right? Anyway, all right. Shall we get to the local news? Let's get to the very depressing local news. And we can tie this into one. So literally, Jake and I, Charmaine, Major, the wives, all at one. And I get a text message while we're sitting there drinking that the Singapore government announced that now all kids' classes will be canceled. Everything goes back to 2 people. And, Singapore is basically going back down into an even stricter lockdown than the most recent phase 2, whatever the fuck. And they're calling it, what do they call it? What fucking stupid, shitty name that they give it to try and underplay the significance of this. It's like rebuilding or something, man. I can't remember what the hell they called the name of this phase. But it literally made me rage. So if you're listening to this and you're at all curious about my gym and the lifestyle and everything that's going on here, I run a family gym, man. Like, we have a lot of kids. We have a lot of parents. We have a lot of families. We have a lot of that. And they just announced that no kids under the age of 12 years old and unvaccinated can train anymore, which represents about 60 to 70% of my gym's income because we have a lot of kids classes. Seemed like a good idea to have kids. You know why? Because I like kids and I love teaching kids martial arts. It's one of the most rewarding things that I do. And it's obviously great for business. It's a future investment. If I have these kids that train with me for 5-10 years, then they're going to be little beasts by the time they're teenagers. And if I can keep them training through adulthood, it's a future investment to my business, and it's extremely rewarding. And then now in this most recent lockdown, they've announced that that's gone. All kids are going to be at home studying, which affects Jake. Jake, what did you tell me a story? This fucking sad, heartbreaking thing that you told me earlier?
I don't know. I'm actually, like, my daughter. So my daughter goes to your kids' class. Like, my daughter loves Charmaine. Like, my boy loves Charmaine. Your kids' program is absolutely amazing. They can't go to that. Like, even more annoyingly, I can't pay for you to come to my house and train my 2 kids. However, if you want to come around my house and, like, play wrestling with them, that's fine. Like, what a ridiculous set of rules. And then on top of that, my daughter can't go to school for 2 weeks. We told them the news today. She was in floods of tears, and it was awkward because I was also watching the Volkanovski fight at the same time. So I was trying to console her how much that.
Yeah, we made a dark-ass joke, but, you know, the dark humor is the only thing that can get... So if you want to know what my Friday night was like, drinking myself into oblivion with you guys, coming home and having a nice manly fucking cry at my desk. It wasn't manly. It was a sad cry. It was ugly crying. I was ugly crying because it's brutal, man. This is the 3rd lockdown or heavy restrictions that we faced in 7 months. I'm going to have to lay off my employees. It was the first time I was able to take a paycheck for myself in 2 months because finally, after the most recent series of lockdowns, we had rebuilded to the point where I can afford to pay myself because I'm paying all my other employees, including my wife, including all the people who work for me first, like a motherfucking man. I do what I'm supposed to do. We dealt with all the lockdowns, all the other restrictions, and finally we rebuilt back to where we were earning the amount of money that we were earning before the most series of lockdowns. I paid myself on Friday afternoon. Friday evening is when I got the news that all of this shit was going to be gone. We had to rush, figure out everything. We got people that are canceling memberships, that are freezing memberships. All my employees are like, what's going on? We're like, what's going on? And so I'm sat here drunk, fucking crying like a bitch, trying to figure out how the fuck we're going to deal with all this shit right after going and watching the fights with all of you guys. So it's a fucking roller coaster, right? As we're sitting here trying to figure out all this shit. And then today it's like we got all the kids training and they all know it's the last day, and the parents and everything are just, what's going on, trying to figure out how to pay my employees and how to change the schedule and who wants to now close their membership or freeze their membership because they're sick of this because this is the 3rd time they've had to go through with it. The restaurant next to us had to close down because they're fucked. Everything's fucked. And then now, I don't even know, man. And F&B, to all the people that I know, including many people at my gym who do F&B, back down to 2 people. All the gyms, it's just back. Now we can only train with 2 people again. Man, it's just brutal. This one is going to be tough. So to all of you guys out there struggling through this most recent thing with the government saying we're just going to open, we're just going to deal with it, and backpedaling and saying we're just going to open it, and then backpedaling and say we're just going to open up, and then backpedaling, I'll just likely politely say to the government, I get it. I see what you're doing. Also, fuck you. Fuck you. This is just unacceptable, man. We can't live like this.
No.
We can't do this, man. All these fucking kids that have spent their entire 2 years of their development. By the way, a lot of my kids are 5, 6, 7. These kids have spent a third of their life in masks, can't go to school, can't go out and eat with your family without fucking going in 2 separate cars, and all of the stupid shit that we have to deal with. And now they're talking about potentially vaccinating these kids. These under 12-year-old kids who don't show symptoms, who aren't at risk for death. We're going to vaccinate all these kids. Why? I'm not anti-vax, but why the fuck are you injecting anyone? Why is this even a conversation?
Yeah. We've both got a vaccine. We are not anti-vax. Vaccines work. If you're over the age of 12, take your vaccine. Maybe not 12, but if you're an adult, take your damn vaccine. It's fine. You'll be fine. You'll be sick for a few days. Don't worry about it. But God damn it, there is no way my kids are having that vaccine.
The kids? The fucking kids?
No.
Are you kidding me? Again, not anti-vax at all, but this is some bullshit. This is some fucking bullshit. Okay, and they're like, oh, well, it'll only be a month. Oh, really? Because they've already predicted that the fucking cases are going to double over the next week or 2. Okay, and every other lockdown, they fucking tell us it's going to be a month, and they've extended every one. Okay, so it's not only that, and also all of the benefits that we were supposed to get from the government for the most recent lockdown, we haven't gotten shit. Nothing. We got nothing. So we're getting less and less government support. They're locking us down further. Even before, with the kids, or with the most recent series of restrictions, the kids can still come in and train. The most recent one, they could still even come in without masks on. It was 2 packs, they could come in. Okay, then the most recent one, okay, now you can only train with masks. All right, well, there went 10% of my kids right there, but we still had some. Now they're saying you can't even come in. That's 60 to 70% of my revenue gone. Who's going to pay for that? What are we going to do? How am I supposed to pay my fucking employees? Like, man.
But, you know, I'm speaking from a parent point of view. My kids can't train with you. My kids can't train at home. Like, you can't come to my house and train them. Ron can't come to my house and train them. Like, and the best thing you can be to fight this goddamn coronavirus is fit and healthy. What are we doing?
Well, I'm about to do the opposite of that right fucking now. Because
I mean, we've already gone off the deep end and ruined the fit and healthy vibes.
I'm about to go into stage 2 of my fucking drinking myself into oblivion as soon as this podcast is gone. I'm just trying to delay it so I'm not slurring my fucking words.
And me, being the good friend that I am, showed up with a 6-pack for you.
Thank you for facilitating me, bro. I needed it. I'm not joking. I really fucking needed it. Like, I don't want to rant on this too long.
Right.
Jake, you got shit to do, bro.
It's fine. We're going to finish on a positive note. We're going to do some positive things for this. We're going to, when the kids class should be, we're going to film some technique videos. We're going to put those technique videos out there for people. And if Luke's not said this, but if Luke wants to put a fucking PayPal link in there and people want to chuck his some money some way, come on. You can't complain about the technique videos. Luke's not said he's doing that. Up to him. But I'm saying he should.
No,
let's show him some love.
I'm not doing PayPals. I'm doing OnlyFans. Listen, I don't take freebies, okay? I'm going to shake it if I have to. I'm going to give you guys some content. You may not like it. If you don't want to see my butthole, don't subscribe.
And when is all that Vaseline showing up again?
Hey, this was a separate conversation that you and I had in private, okay? So, yeah, I mean, listen, we're not the only ones struggling. But this shit is starting to get fucking ridiculous. What is the point of this 80% vaccination rate? What is the point of this? Okay, if everybody is vaccinated, if the majority of people are vaccinated, and the other minority of the people have had COVID already, and their immunity is higher, first of all, vaccinating the kids, it doesn't prevent transmission. This is already proven. Vaccines do not prevent transmission. They prevent hospitalization, right? Okay, so if 80% of whatever plus people are vaccinated and kids are low risk anyway, why are we closing it down? We just have to expect. How many people, Jake, died of the flu last year in Singapore? Do you know the answer to this question?
Well, not a lot. COVID killed them all first.
Yeah. So the answer is somewhere between 500 and 600.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many people have died from COVID in Singapore in the last 2 years?
25. Something like that.
It's 60, 70 now.
Huh?
60, 70 now. So in 1 year, the actual flu has killed more people by an order of magnitude than 2 years. I understand the government's worried about the ICUs because Singaporeans will go to the hospital for a fucking cough, even though they're fine. Oh God, there's just, I don't know, man. I literally, like, I'm on board for vaccines. I'm on board for anything that makes common sense, but you're fucking killing us. You're killing the businesses. You're killing all the shit. And we need to work. That is the number one thing. Anyway, if you like this podcast, please.
If you remember the Singaporean government as well, we're in Malaysia right now, so we didn't.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't hear from me for a while, follow me on OnlyFans. Unless you don't like looking at some weird shit, but if you do like looking at some weird shit, subscribe to my OnlyFans. I'm joking, I don't have one yet, but if we fucking continue this lockdown, I might.
But if this lockdown gets doubled, Luke Leasure, OnlyFans.
That's it. And I'm not letting my wife do it, so it's only my hairy ass that you guys are going to see. So that's the world you live in. I'm just a player. All right, everybody. Despite all of the horridity and the horridness and the shit of the last few days, I love this podcast. And
also keep an eye out because we've got the Drunken Masters coming soon.
Yeah, maybe a little collab with Major. So Jake named it Drunken Masters, which we were all immediate fans of because it suits our styles.
100% accurate.
It represents us to a T. So maybe we got some Drunken Master content coming. We're gonna have some technique video coming. We're gonna keep plugging away at this podcast. I don't give a fuck if only 2 people watch it because that's what you do. You grind.
Plus, it gives my mum a chance to see my face now.
There you go. That's how sad. I mean, there's so many. How long has it been since you've seen your family?
Let's not go there.
Just curious, how long has it been since you've seen your family?
That would be 2 years.
And could you afford financially or not get fired by your fucking business if you just decided to go and had to come back and quarantine for 2 weeks and pay all the money that you had to pay?
No, I cannot afford that. And I also can't even do that because there's no guarantee I'd be let back in the country.
So, you know, good times here. Thanks, Singaporean government. It's not, I'm so bittersweet on this because in some ways it started out good. Government response started out good. But when they closed this down the second most recent time for 150 or 200 cases a day, and then now they're like, all right. Sorry, Jake. I got to send you out here. I can rant on this for fucking ages. Everybody, thank you all for listening to this. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to my channel. Please like, please share. It's everything to me. And unless you want to see my butthole, you better do it. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you all. I love you. This is the Stronghold Podcast. Thanks for watching and listening.